Hello folks, Paul here once again, and it's that time. Time for me to review the Hobo Hookah. You guys saw my first look at this portable party hookah, and now I've been smoking with it long enough that I feel I can actually give you a good review. And it's a bad review. I am not a big fan of this hookah. I think that it serves a particular purpose, which very few other hookahs can fulfill, because it is so very portable, because it is so good for taking to parties, but not much else. Firstly, the complete lack of a tray and the inability to use a tray without sticking it down here on the neck of the bottle is a big pet peeve of mine. I worry constantly about coals falling off. I like to have a tray, so as you noticed, I added one in, but you can't put it up here underneath the grommet because it would be interfered with by the ports, which means that using a wind cover is practically impossible. That is why, even on this Crown Classic Mini that I have up here, I need 3 coals to get good smoke. Now, speaking of smoke, I can get good smoke out of this hookah, and so will you if you know how to manage your heat. But that brings me to my second point. This hookah refuses to seal well. The purge valve is at such an angle that the ball bearing refuses to seat itself in the purge valve without taking a very strong draw. And I will exemplify that via sound right now by holding up my microphone, so please excuse the clatter. Oh, it's refusing to do it now. Yeah, as you could hear there when I was drawing moderately, and that was not a light draw, the ball bearing just wasn't seated, and I had to pull very hard to get it to actually seat itself and seal. Now, on the note of the purge valve, I'm going to take my coals off for this because they are quite precarious. The purge valve is practically useless, so we're going to purge and see what this does. Yeah, I'm not even sure if this is in frame, but I'm going to take it right in front of my face. That's entirely unpurged. Because this is common chamber and the ports are right here across from each other, right there, air goes in here, comes out here immediately. It purges the neck, it purges absolutely nothing else, and it is a useless purge valve. I don't tend to purge all that often because I'm very careful with my heat, but yeah, if you do purge, or you're worried about people at a party not knowing how to manage coals, and you just want to actually enjoy the party and walk away from your hookah for a second, it's not going to purge, and that's a problem. Now, on to the next piece of problems, because there's a bunch of them. As you notice, I'm not using the stock hose. We saw these things in the preview, and they're junk. They'll do the job, let's be clear about that, but the stiffness of them, because this is such a relatively unstable hookah, unless you put it on a very wide bottle. If you put this on anything like a wine bottle, it is going to be pretty tippy. Can easily pull the hookah, and I'm not a fan. I think that they are just junk. Happily, like I said, you can replace it with a silicone hose, though these are a bit heavy too, which can be problematic. Next up is the bowl. We've all seen these bowls. It's a mod ceramic bowl, and it's It's okay. I mean, it'll do the job. If you have no other bowls, it'll definitely, work if you know how to manage your heat on a mod bowl. And it's one that I wouldn't worry about breaking at a party, but it's not really one that I want to smoke out of really with any regularity, so I've replaced it with my Crown Classic Mini. This, also junk. I'm not a fan. I got the extended down stem, which I don't think is particularly necessary. The length of the down stem, even on this relatively short bottle here, gives me plenty of space, and if I were to put this on a taller bottle, I think it would still have plenty of airspace in the vase anyway, unless this were used on something with a super long neck. I guess it's nice to have with things like hypnotic bottles or something that people make mention to when talking about this hookah and this down stem. I mean, for, a few bucks, it's not a bad thing to keep around if you do buy this hookah, because it will act as a replacement and also act as a modifier if you use those really tall bottles, but I think the normal down stem is fine. On that note, this is pretty, I don't know if you can see that flexing, this is pretty flimsy stuff, as is the standard down stem, so the claims of it being indestructible are very much not the case. In fact, the aluminum junction here between the hose and the stem has some nicks in it already, and I haven't taken this thing out of the house, I haven't taken it to any parties or been particularly rough with it, so indestructible it is not. All of that being said, this hookah fills a particular niche. If you take your hookah with you all the time, if you take it to parties and want something that's kind of a beater hookah with parts that can be replaced, and you don't really need to worry about it getting completely ruined, and also you don't want to be carrying a glass vase with you and know that you can take a cheap bottle that you can, toss at the end of the night if you really want to, or not worry about it getting smashed. Yeah, this will fill that role. But I don't know. Unless you are traveling constantly or are a big party hookah smoker, I can't honestly suggest this hookah. It's not one that I'm going to be smoking with on any regular basis. I have plenty of other rigs that do all of these jobs so much better. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep this one around. I'll enjoy it well enough if I go on camping trips and don't worry about, frankly, leaving it behind. But for the price, it's not terrible. I wouldn't be heartbroken to have this busted up a little bit. So that's it. This is you know what, I'll give it a numeric rating, a 4 out of 10. This is a 4 out of 10. It's serviceable, it does the job, it is indeed a hookah, it will smoke, but it has a lot of problems. So if it interests you, make sure to check it out. Give us your opinions. Let us know what you think. If you completely disagree, please feel free to tell me how wrong I am. And if you do agree, if you have actually worked with one of these before, let me know. I want to hear other opinions, and I want to hear other people's experiences. So I'll see you guys next time. This is Paul for Hookah.org saying thank you very much for joining us, and happy smoking.